We've got a huge crowd here, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the talk by none other than Theo Goodman. Woo! Yeah, the crowd goes wild. The crowd goes wild. You guys online don't see, but we've got 500 people watching me right here. Yeah, this is, really fucking amazing. And as you notice on the screen, humans have been speaking and communicating through picture words since the dawn of time. Just as the Egyptians spoke, just as the cavemen carved things into the cave, so do we today use emojis and memes, because they can communicate a word and an idea faster than the spoken or written word, oftentimes, to communicate a concept. And we've seen that over time till today. And also with Bitcoin. So when Satoshi created the Genesis block, he embedded a message into the Genesis block. So in some ways, you could argue that one of the first uses of Bitcoin was non-monetary, because simply embedding a message into the Genesis block itself is not a monetary use of Bitcoin. But it's not the first time that people used a monetary system to communicate concepts that are non-monetary, or even to communicate memes. Because just the quote, "Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks," in itself is a meme that has propagated throughout all of our thoughts till today. That phrase itself and what it symbolizes is one of the reasons that we're here today, that non-monetary communication. This is some Roman coinage. And so the Romans did not have internet. But they did have a monetary network that spanned deep throughout the empire, because all of the places that they took over were forced to use Roman currency. So, how did they propagate their propaganda, or as we would today say, their memes, throughout the Roman Empire? Well, on the back of the coins. They often changed the minting of the back of the coin, and they knew that that would spread a message throughout the Roman Empire, all the way through it. So here we have one at the bottom, and it's just talking about the empress is pregnant and she's somehow related to a Roman god. I don't remember which one. And here we have one, it's about the Gauls. So this is the Romans conquering the Gauls. So they wanted to propagate this meme throughout the empire using their monetary network that we are superior, we have kicked ass, watch out, you must, be humble around us, etc. So if you think about it, this is not a lot different. This is almost the exact same thing. Essentially, what Satoshi did when he put this in the Genesis block is he wrote on the back of a coin, in a sense, in a very similar way. And that's essentially what people are doing when they make things like this. And they use Bitcoin, on these examples, these are Bitcoin tokens that have images assigned with them. Now, the network just thinks it's just a Bitcoin transaction. The network doesn't see necessarily these pictures. It just looks at them as Bitcoin transactions. But you can imagine it's basically the same as writing on the back of a dollar bill with a specific serial number, or writing on the back of a coin, and then that is able to propagate throughout that monetary network. So technically, it's a non-monetary use, but it's using a monetary network for the spread of it. Here's some other fine artwork of mine. I just thought I'd take this moment to shill it. These are some of my series, Ugly Lines. It's some highly sophisticated modern art. And, there's other non-monetary use cases of blockchain, Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it, and those are DAOs. Now, DAOs, the governance is not that bad. Well, we know a lot of the governance is complete garbage. Most of them are complete garbage. But, let's just mention a few that you might have heard of. Bisq, They actually have a DAO. You might have heard of that client. It's actually a client. It actually runs on Tor. It enables Bitcoin fiat on and off ramps. Pretty cool, but they have a DAO. That's how they're able to maintain things. You might have heard of DarkFi. It's a project around privacy. And they also have a DAO. So these are non-monetary use cases of blockchain or Bitcoin. BISC actually also has a token on Bitcoin, so a colored coin that enables the DAO to function. Layer 2s. You say, well, Theo, what the fuck? Layer 2 is layer 2. Yeah, but each layer 2 has to anchor to the layer 1 at some point, or most of them do, right? That's the whole point of a layer 2. So all of the non-monetary stuff on the layer 2 that happens, so all of the Pepes, all of the NFTs, all the gaming, all of that stuff you say, hey, it actually is on layer 1 too via the anchor transaction. So layer 2 is also, this anchoring process is also a non-monetary use if the non-monetary use happened on layer 2. Timestamps. You could timestamp anything and put it on Bitcoin. It's not a monetary use either, right? It's really exciting too. It's almost exciting as this slide. And there is another discussion, about Satoshis. Do Satoshis exist? What do you think? Do Satoshis exist, sir? Depends? Perspective? What do you think? No?
There's no discrete Satoshi.
Okay, great. Roman, what do you think?
I think there is discrete Satoshi.
He does, so we have, okay. Sir?
I think that's fine.
No? What do you think? Abstain?
Yes.
Vlad? Satoshi's...
Satoshis, but you mostly find them in Japan.
Okay. Cornholio?
Yes.
They exist. So we have almost a 50-50 thing. And, it doesn't really matter because the network doesn't care. The network doesn't care. And actually, it's so funny because people that are really hardcore on the side, Satoshis exist, and they must use a lens to see them. Yeah? Okay. But the Satoshis don't exist. Well, in the end, it's also a lens to not see them. So you're both just looking at the network in a different way. It's a matter of, hey, you're going to play by my rules, or I'm going to say which rules are correct to interpret these transactions. But you know what? In the end, the network doesn't care. Welcome. We really appreciate you coming. We've got a full house today. We're getting into some really serious stuff. Sir, I have a hot question for you. Do you think Satoshis exist? Yes or no? Do sats exist? Yes. Okay. Ooh, I've got another good question. If sats don't exist, how do you stack sats? Yeah? One UTXO at a time. But just to mention, if we really want to get into because of course this is philosophical, it's technical too, because we're talking about lenses, but if everyone talking about stacking sats, and then the next day they say, hey, sats don't exist, kind of contradicts each other. So, maybe sats exist. My proposal is, okay, depends on how you look at it, but if we say sats exist, it's a cool meme. You can use it for stacking sats too. You don't have to use it for pictures and really awful things like that. Okay, this is another, as you can see, I'm going into really crazy topics. I really like the high quality of my slide here. But yeah, what if this, some of the, not the sats argument, what if some of the really hard core arguments are a psyop? Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. What if they are? And so what this is something called COINTELPRO. So that was in the 60s and 70s in the United States. And COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program, and it was used to divide up the Black Panther Party from something called the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And so what's cool about it is because all of these documents are pretty old, they're unclassified. Then they do have blacked out parts, but we can just get an idea of like what are some of the things that they did. You know, you think like it's James Bond and they like went in to assassinate people. And yeah, they did some stuff like this. But here, they're basically like inserting an idea into these organizations to divide them. What does he say? He says, there's a feud being continued by the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, circulating the statement, according to zoologists, the main difference between a panther and other large cats is the panther has the smallest head. So literally the government did in fact successfully insert a meme saying, hey, this group said that your mascot has the smallest head in order to divide them. So just from deduction, if we know the government is willing to go through that much trouble just to start this kind of division, imagine what they're doing today. Yeah, imagine what they're doing today. So just next time you rage tweet, just think about it. Maybe you're part of the PSYOP. This is what, in my opinion, what Bitcoin Puritan life looks like. On some days you're like, yeah, HODL, the Bitcoin standard, sound money. You're welcome to join us. It's a fun party. So here, for everyone watching the live stream, we have kind of a zoo situation where we have this glass window and people are coming in like, oh, look, it's like animals in there. Like, what are they doing, you know? It's kind of like a zoo situation. Welcome, welcome. Sir, I have an introductory question. Do sats exist? What do you think? Do Satoshis exist, sir? Okay, cool. He thinks so. Cool. Yeah, I like putting people on the spot. We're just doing some really scientific research here. This is what it looks like if you think non-monetary use is an attack on Bitcoin. This is just like what your everyday life will be in the future. This is my subjective opinion, but I think this is like what it looks like. Non-monetary use. This is what non-monetary use looks like. It's great. It's happy. Yeah? It's amazing. Like, look, yes. And just as we have in the Poor Pepe's Lambo historical 2017 Rare Pepe card, we have to read the advice that is given. It says, wise Pepe says, shill many Pepes, and you too will have a real Lambo one day. And of course, but look at the Lambo that he has. It's the Poor Pepe's Lambo. One of my favorite cards. Just take a moment to, Yeah, sometimes, welcome, sir, welcome. Sir, I have a question for you. Do Satoshis exist? Do sats exist, in your opinion? More or less. Okay, cool. We're getting some good research here. Yeah, but actually, this guy at, he's a non-monetary user. They're promoting meme coins just on a certain blockchain. But this is what non-monetary use of blockchain could look like. Yeah? Is this what I missed yesterday at this conference? Is this what the talks were like? Not really? No? Lots of dancing, showing abs? No? Hey, this guy, yeah? But I just had to have a quote from him that I found. I thought that was pretty interesting. Bitcoin isn't just money. The blockchain isn't a system of currency. It's a platform of trust. So, how can I trust that I own one of these Poor Pepe's Lambo tokens? Or how can I trust, hey, welcome to the talk. I really appreciate you coming. I have a very important question. Do Satoshis exist? Do sats exist to you? Yes. Okay, cool. But how do I know that I own one of these pieces of fine art, right? I have to trust the system, the blockchain system, the Bitcoin blockchain. And as Andreas was saying, Bitcoin is not just money. The blockchain isn't just a system of currency. It's a platform of trust because I want to be able to trust that my Pepes are safe, for example. And here we are. here we are again at the, hey, Jameson, how do you like your Pepe? Love it? Yeah, we've got Charlie Lee. I did not make this. I actually stole this artwork from Vlad's girlfriend and just added it. But I added in myself. Of course, that looks just like me. What do you guys think? Like this? Like this? If I go like this? Kind of, yeah? See the resemblance? Yeah. And I don't know, this has actually absolutely nothing to do with the talk except that they're Pepes. But I thought it was cool to include because a lot of talks are super boring. And it might even be my last slide. So yeah, I had while we're on that slide, I have a few other things. Bitcoiners 10 years ago, they were saying, separate money from the state, fuck the system, And Bitcoiners today, when Trump says Bitcoin, they just like jizz in their pants, like that, It's kind of like they idolize Trump or Saylor to the point that they're basically the same kind of people that would go to a strip club and be like, the stripper loves me. Angel said she loves me. This is just some observations. I have to look. Layer twos, they're kind of like someone you have an affair with. You're always connected in that anchor transaction. And then when they fuck up, you say, oh, that's the worst piece of shit ever. I hate them. I just worked on these jokes today. Hope you like them. Yes. Anyone looking for a job in Bitcoin? Swan is hiring, I heard. And there's some of the loudest proponents of non-monetary Bitcoin is horrible and all this shit. And then it turns out they were basically having a love affair with Tether, a totally custodial token mostly used on Tron blockchain. So it's just kind of, sometimes the loudest people you hear, might be doing, I guess you could call it a self-psyop, essentially, like they're scamming themselves. So just, think about that sometimes when things are going on. It might be loud for a reason. I kind of think that some of the loud people like that are extremely loud and can't understand any nuisance are it's like the spoiled kid that has a room full of toys. He says, you can't play with my toys unless you play with them like I say so, only by my rules. Just an observation I had. Anyway, actually, that concludes my talk. Do we have any questions about any of my wonderful slides or any other comments? I think we did some very highly scientific research today on do sats exist? And I've come to the conclusion it's about 50-50 in the room, actually, slightly leaning towards. Would you like to come in? It's important. Okay, we're going to do a test. Watch this. I'm going to ask them when they come in. Watch this. Come on. Welcome to the talk. Hi.
All of your slides.
Great. I have a very important question. Do sats exist?
Do sats exist?
Yes.
Of course they do.
Of course they do. Okay, we have very strong, of course they do. Sir, do you think sats exist?
Do UTXOs exist?
That's a counter question. I have to prepare more slides for that. Hello, sir. Welcome. Do sats exist, sir? What do you think? Yes? Yes? Sir, do sats exist? Do Satoshis exist?
In what sense? Sorry about that.
That's a good one. Wow, we've got some really... So we've got two. In which sense? I think that boils down the whole argument. In which sense? And I think, what was the other one? Do UTXOs exist? I guess so, right? So we just have some new arrivals, and I think I have a whole 5 minutes left, so I'll just torture you guys. I just said that people have been communicating like this for a long time. The Egyptians communicated with pictures. And actually, I have minted this fine artwork using the Counterparty Protocol. It's a one of one. Back in the vintage days of 2020, I made this NFT thing, yeah. You probably are wondering who I am. You're like, who is this guy, Some people say, Theo, you look good. But then I realize it's just because I'm standing outside of the venue and they think I'm the bouncer. Yeah. I mean, most people think that I look like an Iraq vet with PTSD that had to become a bouncer. And then he got hit in the head so many times, and now he thinks he's an NFT artist.
I like the NFT.
Yeah, yeah. So, guess what? Just quick review. Don't worry, I know all of you are here, but just quick review. Satoshi, for one of the first uses of Bitcoin, non-monetary, he put a message, which became a meme, into the Genesis block. And if you think about it, that's very similar to writing something on the back of a coin, on the flip side. The Romans did this. They changed their flip sides. So the Romans did not have internet. Shocking. But they had a very vast monetary network. And they used this to propagate their own memes. You might say propaganda, but it's essentially memes. And they would change the backs. Here's that we conquered the Gauls. Here's one, the empress is a goddess and is pregnant now. And they did this to propagate messages throughout their empire. And today, we have the power to do that permissionlessly. Anyone can mint on Bitcoin and propagate their meme through the network. Of course, it's not as easy through a centralized empire as them, but you still have that power now. Here's some of my fine artwork that I would like to just shill in the middle of my presentation, because why not? And there's some of my new creations, ugly lines, get it while it's hot. There's also other non-monetary uses, DAOs, the governance is not that bad. Layer 2s, all the people say do all the bullshit on layer 2, but that anchors back on Bitcoin. So essentially, all the weird shit you do on layer 2 is on layer 1 too. Ha ha ha, gotcha. Timestamps, about as exciting as this slide, but often non-monetary. Do sats exist or don't? We just asked everyone. Maybe all of your rage tweeting is a psyop. This is what Bitcoin Puritan life looks like. This is what non-monetary use looks like. And this is what some monetary use looks like, but I think this is what the conference looked like yesterday. And Andreas agrees with me. If I find a singular quote of somebody and put it in a presentation totally isolated of context, that means he must agree with me. And here we are today. Thank you so much. I'm Theo Goodman. I'm done. Okay.
I don't think you're done because we
Oh, with
do
questions?
We can get questions.
Of course.
We also
of
have
course.
a panel after this, and it's
Yes.
about non-monetary use cases. And
Great.
It's called proof of utility. So we do have a question.
Yes.
Please hold the microphone so that the people listening on live stream can hear this.
Thank you. Great talk. Thank you so much. I just have
Yeah.
I just have one question about the lines. What are the
Yeah.
lines?
Huh? The
Ugly
lines.
I mean,
So-
they're really ugly. They're doing their job.
Each line, so the creative rule for the ugly lines is each line is made in one motion, and so there's no editing. It's one stream of thought. Each line is one pure stream of thought, and if you really look at them, then you will get an emotional reaction. Some people will react differently. It's almost like the modern form of Chinese calligraphy without a language.
Almost.
Yes, almost. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Where can we purchase
Wait.
NFT art?
Okay, great.
Where can we purchase your fine?
So so he asked where can he purchase. Mostly I've done work on Bitcoin, on Counterparty. But to be honest, guess what? I minted these 3 on Ethereum because when I made them, I thought, what's the most hated blockchain at this moment? Then it really suits. So I did an edition of 101 of ones of these on Ethereum because at that moment, not even the art people liked Ethereum. And I thought, that's great. It kind of fits to the whole concept. Let's do it on fucking Ethereum. Yes?
Can I pay in Dogecoin?
Can you pay in Dogecoin? Yeah, if you DM me, we can do a trustful swap. Yes. Any other questions? Could be any range.
You didn't give your thought on do sats exist?
Oh, I mean, that's a good question. I think they have to exist, even if you say they don't exist. They kind of they exist. Does that make sense? How do you stack sats and then stats don't exist for other things? I think that kind of sums it up. I think I think that I think what it I think it's the I think the counter questions raise good points. You know, I think it's a matter of yeah, but do they exist as like first in, first out? You know, they don't really exist like that. Yeah, as you can see, people have a lot of opinions about it, and that's great. Okay, what did you say?
Also, just because I didn't have context, my hotel had 2 of the 3 elevators broken, so it took 2 hours to check out.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if the dust limit was lower to 1 Satoshi, would that change people's thoughts around it? No. No?
No? Okay, they still don't exist for him. Yeah.
The code does not have any discrete object instantiated as a Satoshi. It has transaction outputs which have a value of Satoshi.
Satoshis are an emergent property of the code.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In commons, there is.
I don't think anyone. Yeah. So I don't think anyone is arguing that you need a lens to like view these things. You know, it's a matter of interpreting the. It's a matter of interpreting the transactions.
It is a matter of interpreting because, like, on second layer protocols like Lightning, there are millisats.
Oh yeah,
2 millisats exist.
that's a good question. I like that.
Further down the rabbit hole,
Yeah, do millisats exist? That's a good question. Yeah. What comes after that?
They only come in groups of 1,000.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Millisats, right?
Cool. Any other questions? Any other questions? Maybe we look at these really fine slides again. Is this how your everyday life looks like when you open your computer? I hope not. No. Does your life look like this? What
about the Supra, Theo? You put the Lambo, but what about the Supra?
I mean, that's your meme, the Supra. I mean, you know, maybe if you shill enough Satoshis that don't exist, you can get a Supra. You know?
With a really big wing, right?
With a really big wing, of course. Yeah, it could be. Is this what your conference looks like?
do you think the NFT market is going to come back?
I think it's still there. It's just a matter of the perception that it's like not there anymore. You know what I mean? So I think without doing scientific research, just my observations, what we've seen during the whole bear market is still a lot of interest in creators coming to the NFT market. You know, so you saw the same or more interest, or maybe let's just say like realistic. You still saw interest in artists, creators, whether that be in the gaming or art world or other things, joining, making these things. And so my hypothesis on that too, why it's good, is because as far as like Bitcoin is concerned, I mean, people that are interested in sound money, economists, traders, BlackRock, whatever, you know, any kind of traders, dark market people, hardcore ideological libertarians, they're already interested in Bitcoin. Yeah? We kind of sold them on a lot of these concepts already. People that don't understand economics, people that don't understand sound money, people that have never bought a gold coin or a silver coin, but they like to collect Pokemon, but they will like pay a lot for a painting. People that like value so that's a different value system. And so what we're doing is we're attracting a completely different value system into the ecosystem. And yeah, you're going to have some like clashes of like discussions of value, but I think that's why it's really healthy, because we have a completely different value system of people coming in. And hopefully they'll get intermingled with like cypherpunk ideals and all of these other good things. So you have like a very interesting mix of people. That's my hypothesis.
What is an NFT?
What?
What is an NFT?
I think it's a horrible, I mean, that word came from an acronym that means like one specific thing. I think a artistic token is pretty broad.
It's interesting. Like, I view NFTs, and it doesn't necessarily just mean art, right? But
Sure.
I view it as ownership of provenance.
Yeah, it's that too.
Because you know, that's the whole thing. Like, you can't own the JPEG, right? But you can own the provenance.
Sure. So most of the time, the artwork doesn't move when you send a transaction, and so the thing is just pointed to. And so it gets a little complicated with the on-chain art. Sometimes it kind of moves. Most of the time, it's just there. So that's true as far as your. So it's kind of like a cave painting, and then you have this like thing, this like unique drawing tool that proves that it was only drawn by that, and you're like sharing that, moving that around, kind of, you know.
The art gallery, right, and it says donated by this rich person, right?
Yeah.
Basically donate so that other people can see their name on it.
But NFT,
Yeah.
in my perspective, it's only a way to say that a digital thing, data, was not changed and was that person that created. But the same way, we can sign message on Bitcoin, on Dogecoin, and say that digital thing was not changed along the way. And we can also say it's ours. So it's not signing something.
Just a hash.
Yes, yes, simply that.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I
think
mean,
NFT
But the number can
it's
have
a-
meaning too.
it's a little tricky to say it's the first, but it can be like the first one that minted it. Doesn't mean I'm the first one that had that idea.
The same,
But,
because there
but
are
yeah.
timestamps. When
Yeah,
you
yeah,
sign a
sure.
message, there is a timestamp.
No, I know. I mean, I could like front run your
Who's keeping
timestamp or
track of- yeah.
something, you know.
The
But
mempool.
but in general, yeah, that's part of it. All of those things are true at the same time. You know, it's a little bit of, you're getting into a little bit of weird interpretations. But yeah. Any other questions before we start our panel?
Is it our responsibility to bring in the JPEG people into our values?
It's nobody's. There's no
Probably
like
not.
central responsibility coordinator. You know what I mean? There's no central responsibility coordinator. It just kind of happened, and that's what I think the whole time. That's what I've been saying the whole time. I think that's really good. I think it's healthy to have other things. I think it makes like events like this more interesting. And I think it's good to have like a discussion with different people. Not everyone is agreeing. You know, you have like a totally different value system, people that don't get a lot of these things. And yes, sir.
It's somewhat a complicated question for the time we have left, but something that I've always wondered about is the much more likely use case, at least from my perspective, for NFTs has always been kind of DRM, in the sense of DRM, verifying rights for many people instead of issuing one-of-one tokens, essentially. And I'm just wondering what's kind of, what do you think is the difference there between the kind of really large prevalence of one-of-one tokens versus the much more kind of natural, normally, perspective of making broader rights management with that?
Okay, so you have like one, that's a lot. You have one of ones. He's talking about, so those are tokens that are just one, and then there are additions, we say. So like a 100 edition of something. I think DRM is, so digital, I think it's tricky to enforce these rights with a bearer asset system. Does that make sense to you? Because who's going to enforce because in the end, so basically let's just like go to a discussion that happens right now. You have so-called royalties on some NFTs, and this is mostly in the Ethereum world or other EVM chains where you can program that into the smart contract. So every time it's sold on a marketplace, which is a kind of smart contract, that marketplace says every sale of this, 5% of that sale automatically shoots out to the originator address regardless, okay? But if I choose to find another smart contract, decentralized exchange that doesn't have that enforced, I can still do the transaction, and then they don't get anything. You see what I mean? And so that's why I think that a lot of these are at odds with the whole concept of bearer asset, where if I have it, I own it. You see so it's kind of a conundrum. I don't think there's an easy answer. I think that it's something that's been being experimented with. But I think that in the end, what I see happening is people basically build little walled gardens of permissions in order to facilitate these kind of royalty systems. So it's like you have the bearer asset asterisk, but you can only interact with the following smart contracts. And it becomes this never-ending cat and mouse list of things that you can interact with. You know, that's what I see happening. So it's kind of a tough one.
I mean, that's true, and that's
Yeah.
a perfect description of
Yeah.
one of my criticisms of that, or one of
Yeah.
that. My perspective was more, obviously, you could use this more in the sense that, for example, TPASS is essentially using blockchain to do verification of encryption with our encryption network, Web of Trust.
Well, I mean, that's cool too. I mean, I don't know exactly what KeyPass is doing. I mean, that's like a whole nother non-monetary use case of like zero knowledge proofs to like, say, hey, you paid, but I don't know who the fuck you are, essentially. That's really cool. Okay, I think I talked a lot. I'm going to talk more on the panel as we're starting without any break.
If you want to get a drink, you can go grab one fast, and then let's come back in 3 minutes.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.